I raise my arms up to go for the palm flip, and my left arm goes up, but my right arm doesn't quite go up. And so like I reset, and then I go up and just force it, and I send the palm flip, and then like that did not feel good. So I didn't know what was wrong. They asked me, like, do you need to go to the hospital? I was like, yes, I need to go to the hospital.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is a professional free runner. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Jarrod Luty. What's up, man?
What's up, bro? How's it going?
Dude, thanks for making the time to do this, and nice to officially, formally sit down and talk to you.
Dude, hell yeah. Yeah, I've been watching the Jam for a while, so it's pretty dope.
I appreciate that, man. And the only reason I know how to pronounce your name is because I was butchering it incorrectly on the Jam breakdown for like months at a time. I kept saying your name incorrectly, and then finally someone sent me the right way to pronounce it, and so I'll never forget.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it happens a lot. Like, I feel like a lot of commentators, like Fernando, he used to do that quite a bit for like 2 or 3 years, and then like he finally came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, like, is it Luty or Luddy?" And I'm like, it's Luty, but it's okay. He's like, "Oh man, like, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's okay, man. I'm pretty used to it." So,
do you mind me asking what origin that name comes from?
Honestly, I looked it up. It's Polish, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it means like February in Polish. So I mean, my dad's not from Poland, but that's what I looked it up. Yeah, but I think it's Polish.
Okay. And what is your family background? I just asked because you kind of look like ambiguous. Like you kind of look like you could be a few different things here.
So my dad is he's like full ginger, Irish and Scottish. And then my mom is from the Philippines, so I'm Filipino.
Okay, I was going to say, I didn't want to be racist, but I was like, I'm sensing some sort of Asian.
Dude, yes, I come from the Asian culture. Yeah, I get a lot of Hispanic. A lot of people think I'm Hispanic. I'm like, no, I'm just Asian, so I like to embrace that, so.
Hell yeah, man. And it kind of, I guess also, especially with where you live, some people would associate that. Are you still down, and are you still based out of Austin, Texas, or what do you call home currently?
Yeah, I'm in Austin right now. I've been living here for maybe 3 years now. I think I moved in 2018, at the end of 2018-ish. So been here for about 2 or 3 years now, and honestly, it's super dope. I love it here. Weather's a lot nicer. I'm from Houston. And it's just very humid over there. Over here, like, it's pretty, like you get a breeze, you know, like there's like actual some air coming through. Like Houston, like fish training over there all the time, like it would just be like super humid outside. You just be like walking around, not even training, like you're like walking to the spot, and it's just, there's no sun out, it's just cloudy, and you'll just be sweating, no reason. But here, like, you can actually get some shade and like chill for a second, get a breeze, and like, all right, I'm gonna chill for a bit. So, it's pretty nice.
To put it in perspective for people, how far apart is Houston and Austin, like drive wise? Is it a few hours difference?
So from Houston to Austin, it's maybe like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 at the most. But yeah, it's nothing crazy.
That's crazy that just 2 hours away, you see a difference in the weather and the climate patterns and stuff like that. What was it that drew you over to Austin then 3 years ago, and what was the decision to make the move?
It was Tumble Tech, the gym that I'm working at right now. Yeah, so I went over there for maybe like a competition or something, and then I kind of met the people there, and then they were just like, "Hey, like, we're looking for coaches. Like, would you be interested in moving?" I was like, Yeah, I would be interested because I really like the gym and the spots are really cool. Houston doesn't really have any parkour gyms. There was maybe like 1 or 2 at the time when I was over there, but they actually, I think, shut down because of COVID. And then a friend of mine, he actually opened up his own parkour gym up north Houston in the Woodlands of, I believe, Commit Achieve. They just call it BCA. Yeah. So yeah, that place is pretty cool. But yeah, there weren't really any parkour gyms that I could really train at or work at. I was working out of a gymnastics facility, and they, the owner, had another facility that he like bought all this Ninja Warrior equipment, and he was thinking about starting like a Ninja Warrior like parkour program. And he knew that I did parkour, and so he came up to me and was like, hey, we're like thinking about starting this program, like would you be interested in, you know, kind of teaching, you know, kind of starting it up? And then I was like, yeah, for sure. So I worked there for maybe a few months, and then Tumbltech hit me up about, you know, moving down for a job. And you know, I kind of felt bad about leaving the gym, but I actually had like two of my friends like help start the program, and so like they didn't really have much coaching experience, so I kind of had to train them to like be ready whenever I left. So I kind of trained them and helped them out, you know, like what do they need to be teaching, how do they need to be teaching it, you know, what kind of like curriculum they need to be going with. And so I kind of gave them this, you know, little curriculum and like the levels and everything. And so they were in good hands whenever I left. So they're still there now, and this is like 2 years ago. So they've been there for a while and kind of helping them out. So it wasn't all too bad because, you know, I really liked the gym and they did a lot for me. So I wanted to make sure they were in good hands when I left.
Hell yeah. No, that's super cool, man. And for anyone that doesn't know what Tumbltech is, it is a massive gym down there in Austin, Texas. I know about it because there have been some WFPF certifications held there. And funny enough, I was actually supposed to be down there for like a G-Tramp event that they just had recently. And I had to like cancel. Yeah. I was going to hit you up because I was supposed to go to that event. I was going to try to interview you in person. And then I had a conflict with the job, so I didn't get to go down there. So just missed you.
Dang, man, yeah, definitely. If you're in Austin, bro, just like hit me up, and we can get some training at the gym. And like it's pretty sick. I love the setup because it's with the portable parkour equipment.
Yes.
And so basically, like it's all movable, and we actually go in every week, and we always change up like the setup because we gotta like make new courses for the classes and things like that. So we just go in like at the beginning of the week, and then we like make like a really cool setup to train on, and then we kind of like make our obstacle courses throughout the setup. So It's really cool because like it's never the same. I feel like a lot of gyms that I go to, like it's always fun, you know, going and visiting a gym just because like you haven't been there for a while. But I've been to gyms where like the setup is always the same, and so like it's kind of hard to like you do all the challenges in the gym, and you're like, all right, you know, got to work on some other things. So this one, it's a little fresh, it's new. Every time it's like there's new challenges set, there's always something else to do, and there's so much room for progression because of like the equipment that we have. It's like, okay, if I want to learn how to do something, I'm going to start here in the foam pit. I'm going to recreate the setup that I want to do it on, and then you go from like the foam pit, you throw a mat in, and then you can literally make the exact same setup on the parkour side, and then just progress there on some mats. And then I feel like that's why my skill has like gotten so much better in like the last like few years, because like I have this facility, and I feel like that's a lot of people's issue is like they want to get better, but it's really hard for them because like they don't have access to like gyms or like anything to like flip onto or like do anything onto. So I feel like some people, in order for them to like get better, is they just got to get somewhere where it's going to push them, you know. And I feel like moving from Houston, like that's my home, and like coming here to Austin, it's like getting out of my comfort zone and kind of like pushing myself and like being able to like take advantage of like this facility that I've never had. Like I've literally had to start like outside, like onto some like mattresses like that I'd find on the side of the road. And yeah, man, come a long way, and it's definitely a big help working there, being an athlete. So
100. And for those that aren't too familiar with Tumbltech and stuff, and this is something I just want to clarify myself, just being from an outsider, what exactly is Intrepid Parkour, and how is that like tied into Tumbltech and what you guys have going over there?
So Intrepid is kind of like our parkour program, and so Intrepid is, we have our own like pro team at the gym, and so we actually have a junior pro team too, like with the students. And they have like their own class, and like they come in there, and like we kind of help them out, like getting ready for like competition settings, like style or speed or anything like that. So whenever there are youth competitions, we have our own junior pro team to, you know, represent the gym and like, you know, hopefully like if they qualify, then that'll give us an opportunity to, you know, send them out to their competitions or things like that. Same with me and the other professional athletes that are on the pro team. Like if we qualify for a competition and we get to go to like NAPC or something like that, if we qualify, then the gym helps us out, being able to like sponsor us to go to these competitions and just like compete and represent the gym. So it's pretty cool, and I think it's like a really good opportunity.
Super, super cool, man. I think that's one of the coolest things about the day and age that we're living in right now is I'm like super old. So I'm like old gen when competition was just barely starting. And there's so many opportunities for parkour practitioners nowadays. In fact, one of the ways that I really got turned on to you, and I feel like a lot of the world really obviously had known about you, but really started to showcase you, was some of your online Tempest qualifiers that you started putting out that really started going viral and getting you a following. So with that being said, though, how long have you been doing parkour and free running, and how did you first get introduced to the sport?
So I've been 9 years now. Yeah, I've been training for about 9 years. I started, I think, 2012. I think that was the time right there. Right after I graduated from middle school and was like going to be a freshman. Okay. That summer, you know, I had like a friend or two, and they were like, you know, I could show them that I could backflip. Like ever since like I was like a kid, like I could like backflip off of things, but like it's just really bad, and just like it would have to be like really tall in order for me to like get around. I even like smacked my head one time on the ledge that like I was backflipping off of, so I went this scar in my head. But yeah, I just kind of like showed him that I could do a backflip, and then he just thought that was like the coolest thing ever, and we wanted to learn, and so we just went onto YouTube and just looked up a bunch of tutorials, and then what's his name? Kyle Mendoza.
Yes, Kyle Epic Mendoza. Yeah.
Kyle Epic. Yeah. So he had some tutorials. Jesse, obviously, you know, the OG. We just watched all of his tutorials, and he was more of a skater, and so like he had like this like half pipe or quarter pipe that he had built with his dad, and so just completely made out of like wood, and it set about like maybe 3.5 feet off the ground, and so we would just pull that out of his garage, and then we would just go around and just find mattresses that people were throwing away, and we would stack them up in his garage, and then we had maybe like we had like 5 good mattresses, and then we would just take them outside and then just work a bunch of flips. So that was our life for maybe like the first 2 years of our training. And then we had actually found a like cheerleading / gymnastics facility that had open gyms like in the morning on, I think it was Saturday mornings. And so we would go at like 9, and then we'd be there from 9 to 11, just training as much as we could. So that was kind of like, I don't know if I really knew what parkour was at the time, but I think like after we started looking at the tutorials and like watching, you know, parkour videos, we're like, oh, okay, so this is what it is. So I don't think I was just like, oh, you know, I want to learn parkour. No, like I don't think I really started training parkour until about 3 or 4 years ago. Wow. Yeah, like when I first started training, it was just learning how to flip. Like it was just like, I want to learn how to do every single flip. So I feel like that's probably why I'm so good at flips, is because I didn't start with like jumps or anything like that. Like the first time I ever really started doing jumps was 2017 Winter Jam with Joey. That was the first time I met Joey Adrian. And so him and then some other friends, they were all just doing the jumps. And like, you know, like I want to train with Joey and like, you know, keep up with them. So, and I kind of realized that I'm pretty good at doing jumps too. And so like, that's when I really started pushing parkour. But yeah, from my very first like training, like I only did flips really, maybe a few roof gaps, you know, off like the elementary school to the other side. But like, other than that, like it was mostly just like flip training.
Crazy. And all of your flip training is completely 100% self-taught? You've never taken gymnastics classes or any formal training?
Nope. Never took any gymnastics or anything like that. Didn't have a coach. It was just more just like watching a tutorial and then just kind of go outside. A lot of like self filming. Like I filmed myself quite a bit to kind of like figure out what I was doing wrong and like what this person was doing right. It's like, oh, okay, like this is kind of what we need to do. So yeah, it's all self-taught.
Did you play any other sports? Because you kind of started picking it up around the time of high school when most kids delve into some sort of team sports or something during that time? Or were you pretty much just focused on doing flips for fun?
So I actually used to do motocross for a while, for a few years. I was maybe like 9 to 11 or 12. And so I had been doing motocross and I did wrestling. I wrestled for a little bit in middle school, and I was going to do it in high school, but I moved to Texas. So I'm actually originally from North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. So all the way back. Okay.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm from Houston. I say from Houston because like that's where I grew up, and like that's where I have like my memories and like, you know, how I kind of like grew up and doing parkour and all that stuff. But I'm actually from North Carolina. I raced motocross and I wrestled in North Carolina. And then my family moved to Texas in 2011. Okay. And so I couldn't really race anymore and I didn't have anywhere to like wrestle. So I took MMA for a little bit and I only did that for like a few months. It just, I don't know, like we kind of went in there and just did like the same, like I understand like repetition and, you know, stuff like that, but like, I don't know, like I just couldn't go in there every day and just like kind of just do the same thing, you know? Yeah. It just didn't feel right. So that's when I like got into parkour and like I was like, oh, like I could literally just like work on anything that I want. It's just so like freeing, you know, there's not really like, oh, you have to do this, this, and this. It's just like do whatever you want to do, you know? So that's when I kind of got started in parkour, but really no team sports. I never did any like football or like soccer or anything like that. No. I never did any team sports. Mostly just like individual type thing. I tried to skate for a little bit, but like, dude, that's hard.
I hate skating, bro.
And it's brutal. Like you practice on concrete, you know? It's like that would be like trying to teach myself like flips on concrete. Like it wouldn't be very fun, you know? So like that's why learning on the mattresses and all this stuff is so much easier and like, you know, nicer on my body. But skating is brutal. I respect skaters like a lot. They take the hardest fails for sure. Any parkour athlete I know.
I agree with you, dog. I've always been fascinated with skating. I only trust my body, so anything that has like a board or wheels attached, I'm just like, I'd rather just rely upon my arms and legs, you know? So.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah. And so, you know, with that being said, when you first started getting into parkour, how many days a week and how many hours were you training when you first started? And then how many days a week and hours are you training nowadays? Is it more or less than when you first started?
I was probably training like maybe like 2-3 days a week back then, but like I don't know, like it was just really hard for me to like train because like I didn't really have a facility, you know, like right now like I can pretty much train every day if I wanted to because like I work at the gym, so like if I wanted to just go train, like just come in before work or just stay after. But back then it was just like I had school and then like I didn't have a car or anything like that, so like I couldn't go to like any spots that I wanted to go to or like train with my friends. But I kind of trained a little bit like at my high school. Like I would stay after and like there was like some spots that I could train at there, but they also had like for like the track and field, like the big sand pit where they run and do the jump in there. And then the football team had like these big giant tractor tires. And so like they would use them to like flip, you know, for practice. So what I would do is I would roll over the tractor tires over to the sand pit and then like just work flips into the sand pit. And I could also like stack them up. So I would take like 4 of them and I would stack them up on top of each other and then flip off into the sand pit. So that was kind of like my training. And then like there was maybe one park in my neighborhood, but like the ground was so hard, like it was basically concrete. I never trained there at all. Maybe like every now and then, but It just, the ground was so hard, I didn't like training on it. So, but I definitely train a lot more now, just because like I feel like I'm kind of like trying to pursue it a little more professionally and like take it more seriously. Because back then it was just more like fun, like type thing, you know, just a kind of a hobby.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've been doing it for so long that it's just kind of like, it's just what I do now. So, and it's just not the same. Like if you like stop training for a while and then you get back to it, like back then I could do that. Like I could like not train for like a week or two and just be fine. But now like it just bothers me if I'm not training. So yeah, I definitely train a lot more now for sure.
Hell yeah. And are you someone that prefers training alone, solo training majority of the time, or do you thrive off of being around other people?
So I think it's more fun training with people, but I'm definitely more productive when I train by myself.
Okay.
It depends on like who you're with and like how many people are there whenever you're training, because like you could be training with like 4 or 5 people and then you guys are just like playing around, just kind of having fun. But like you could have like 1 or 2 people that you're training with, and like you kind of have like a set goal that you're trying to work on. Like you're both all trying to work on the same move, and so you're kind of like helping each other, like, oh, okay, this is what you're doing wrong, and like this is what it looks like, and you're kind of just like, your end goal is to get that move, and so y'all are kind of like training together to get that. But sometimes like I'm definitely the most productive when I train by myself, because like I know exactly what I want to work on, and so like I'll go in there, don't really have like any distractions or anything that keep me from working on it, and then like I definitely just get a lot more progress done. So it's kind of like 50-50. I kind of like to train by myself sometimes, but sometimes it's a little unmotivating when you're training by yourself. So it's fun to train with people because you're a little bit more motivated. So
yeah, totally. I only ask that because the majority of the clips that we see, obviously you're setting them up to film, but a lot of the clips we see, it feels like there's not a lot of people at the sessions. It seems like it's you and your camera guy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, maybe like I probably train like maybe like 3 people, maybe 4 people at a time. I train with a lot of different people, but like I feel like everybody kind of like works like these schedules, and it's like, okay, well this person can only train at this time, and then this person only can train on these days, and so it's like, okay, well, you know, let's get something done. So but yeah, no, like the group sessions are fun, but I feel like everyone kind of disperses amongst like their own, kind of doing their own thing at a certain spot, you know, like it's like, okay, this person is working on this thing, and like, oh, okay, I see something over here, so I'm gonna kind of stay out of their way and like let them do their thing, and I'm gonna like work on something on my own. So yeah, no, I like training with people, but solo training is definitely the most productive.
Yeah, totally. And now this kind of like goes hand in foot with what we just kind of talked about with the group training as well. But for the longest time, I feel like in America, there's always been parkour communities in California, Colorado, obviously, Florida. But now there are not only Tumble Tech in Texas, but there's also a Tempest Freerunning in Texas. What is the scene like down there? Do you see a growing community that is going to eventually catch up to something like a Colorado? Or what is it like for someone that's actually down there living it yourself?
Honestly, I think Texas is probably the most slept state on, for sure. Like the athletes, I think, go the hardest. The jumps are the fattest, for sure, and the spots are probably the best. Honestly, I mean, that's Joe. Actually, did you know that Joey actually just moved down to Texas?
I did not know that. Oh,
yeah. So he lives in Dallas now, so that's pretty cool. Like he's not, Dallas is maybe like 3 or 4 hours from here, but like he's not too far away, and so like it's really cool to get to train with him. And then honestly, we just had like 2 new guys move down. One guy, he moved down from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He just moved down like a week or 2 ago because like he wanted to like take his training more seriously, and he wanted to like get to Red Bull Artimotion. Like that's his goal. And so like he just saw that like people are down here like pushing really hard, and he wants to be at that level. So he moved down here to like take his training more seriously. And then we had another guy move down from New Jersey. Same thing, like he wanted to take his training more seriously, and just thought that the community was going hard. And so Um, I think that Texas in the next few years is going to blow up. I feel like everybody that comes down here and they see what we have, they're like, wow, like this is pretty dope. Like not even just the spots, but like having Tumble Tech, and now we have Tempest, and then we have BCA in Houston. Like all these gyms are popping up, and actually, Lorena, she's opening up a gym South Texas.
I actually saw that. Yeah, I've heard some inklings of rumors of that place.
Yeah, so she's having that, and so like I feel like all these gyms are popping up, and like all these people are like kind of moving down, and it's just like that ball is going to keep rolling, and then people are just going to keep progressing, and like people are going to see like what we have, and they're going to be like, okay, like Texas is going to be the new Colorado, honestly. I mean, I love Colorado and everything, but like I feel like just people aren't pushing us harder anymore, like definitely with like Apex, and like World Chase Tag, like they're like amazing athletes, but like I don't really see them like showcasing themselves as being like these athletes, like I feel like a really important part of like parkour is like showing like what we can do, and like showing like the progress that we're making in the sport, and like to the the muggles out there that don't know what parkour is, and so they only can see like on social media and the videos. They don't interact with much parkour athletes. They probably meet a lot more basketball and football players than anybody, because like parkour is still growing. But I feel like Texas is going to be the new Colorado. I mean, I love everybody in Colorado and everything that they do, but I feel like they definitely it hasn't been pushed as hard like in a while.
Yeah.
But I feel like everybody in Texas is like really, really pushing themselves and like trying to make this work and be a thing. And definitely I'm sticking with Texas. The only thing that freaking sucks is the heat. That's all I gotta. The Colorado definitely has that good training weather. Most of the year, I know it gets like really, really cold and like just snowy in the winter. But I mean, that's why we got gyms, so indoor training. But the Texas heat, it kind of like, I feel like a lot of people, they come down, they're like, ooh, I don't know what I got myself into, but I gotta make it work.
I feel you on that, man. No, it's super cool to see. Like I said, I'm definitely starting to see a wave of people move over towards that area. And like I said, with the influx of gyms, because that's what it used to be before. It used to be like whatever city had a major parkour gym, obviously a community would grow around it. And now you guys are about to be the home to 4 major parkour facilities potentially in the country. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, man.
Very excited.
Hell yeah. And so one of the other things that also brings light to a local community is obviously being showcased on a larger platform. And I know one of the coolest opportunities that you recently got to be a part of was competing at your first Red Bull Artimotion.
Indeed, yes, okay. I did.
And so for those that aren't aware with how that went down and the format of the competition, let me just break it down real quick. So Red Bull Artimotion is probably one of the biggest parkour and freerunning competitions in the world. I've been fortunate to have been part of it for years since when it originated. We took like a little sabbatical because of COVID, and it just got brought back this year. And now, if I'm not mistaken, you initially entered the online qualifier. Was that correct?
So I did do the online qualifier,
but you didn't make it.
I did not make it to the online. No.
Okay. And so what was it after from the online qualifier? They selected a few guys that would have a guaranteed spot to compete in Santorini. But every year they also have what's known as the OnSite Qualifier, where anyone from around the world can fly themselves out to Greece and they can compete in a multi-round OnSite Qualifier for the chance to win one of 3 spots. So what was it that inspired you to take a trip all the way to Athens with just the chance of getting to compete?
So I brought it up to my boss. She's like my manager. She's really good friend. She's the owner of Tumble Tech, and she helps us out with our trips and our sponsorships. To go to these competitions. So basically, I had to like make a resume and present it to her, and why like I think that I should go to Artimotion, and like if what she can do to help me get there. And so I came up with like the list of competitions that I've previously been in, what place the tricks that I had planned on throwing at the competition, what my training routine was going to be like, the conditioning, the mobility, and stuff like that. And so basically I had to present it to her and kind of go from there. And then she was completely down for me to go, because she believed in me and being able to like make it through the on-sites. And I really thought that I could make it through the on-sites, because I feel like the online is way harder to get through than the on-sites, because
I agree.
Online is like, it's, you're coming up with these lines and like you have so many attempts to do these lines and come up with like this video, and you have like time. But when you're there and you're on site, or like you have to compete to get in this competition, it's like you have to do it here and now. Like you can do these things 1,000 times, but how often can you get it first try? How well can you put a line together, or like do these things and execute them well on concrete first try in front of the crowd, And so I do really well under pressure. I feel like I perform a lot better. And then for the on-sites, the first round is a jam sesh. And so basically you're in a group of 10 and you have 10 minutes to jam out on the course that they make. And they only pick the top 20. Well, they did top 15, but it's picked the top 15 out of the entire. There was 120 people there, so there was 12 rounds. There was 12 heats, and so out of the 120 people, they only picked the top 15. And so I made it through the second round. I was in the top 15, and then the second round, you have like 10 minutes to come up with a line that you have to do on the course, just one individual run on the course, and they pick the top 3 out of the 15. So came up with my line. It was kind of like really fast. Like I had to come up with it real fast, because you have 15 people on the course, and there's people in the way, and you're like, all right, what do I want to do, and figure all the stuff out. And then after the 10 minutes of coming up the run, coming up the run, going through it, making sure that I have the run down, and actually like doing the flips in the run just to make sure that I have it down. After we had gotten done with coming up with our runs, I was like the second person to go. Yeah. So I was already pretty tired, and then after somebody else went, I had to go next, and I was already pretty tired going into the my run. I think I had like one mistake to where like after I did like a wrap off of the one of the blocks, I think I was gonna like cart full or something, and then I kind of like got lost like after the cart wrap, and then I kind of forgot like, oh, I was supposed to do the cart full after that or something. And so like I kind of just tried to keep the run going, but it was okay. It definitely wasn't like the best run I'd ever done. I knew I could have done a lot better, but what can you do? You kind of just gotta do what you can and let the results kind of show up. But everybody else went. I think I didn't think that I was going to be the one making it through. Okay. I had my money on some other people because I thought their runs were a little bit better than mine. Just executed better, because I feel like that's the most important thing in any run is like, yeah, like you do all these hard tricks, but like how well do you execute it? So I think execution is probably like the most crucial part in any run. And then Verkey, he ended up getting first. Mm-hmm. Travis Verkey. He's from Greece, yeah. So he's like a well-known person in that community, in the Greece community. And then they ended up calling my name third, making it through the on-sites, and honestly was just super surprised. I was not expecting that at all. And then I was also a little, how do I say this? I wasn't disappointed, but I wasn't like ecstatic about it, I know that I went there to like make it through the on-sites and compete at the competition, but when they called my name and I knew that I was going to have to compete, that it wasn't over, like
there's pressure now.
it's pressure now, you know. It's like, all right, I got to do this now. Like I'm in it, like, you know. So it was a little scary. But, and then I knew that like the next few days it was just going to be like hard training and just like coming up with those lines, you know. So like the second day, we had 2 practices. We had one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and they split up the practices between A and B team. A is like all of the previous podiums.
Yeah, automatic qualifiers.
Yes. And then the B team was more of the on-sites and the online qualifiers. And so we got our practices split up, 2 practices, and then the next day, same thing, 2 practices, one in the morning, one at nighttime, A and B team. And then you got your competition day. We had 1 practice in the morning before the competition. And then we just had to kind of wait until we were ready to go. So super fun experience. Definitely want to go back again next year. And getting to meet all the athletes like Jason Paul, like, bro, like I've been watching that dude since like I started training, and like getting to meet him in person, that was such a cool experience. Who else? I got to meet Archie, and then, you know, Christian. Yeah. You know, I've been watching them for a while too, and it's really funny, like just seeing like somebody like over social media for like such a long period of time, and you like meet them in person, you're just like, and then you kind of realize like they're just people too, you know. So it's like I feel like I don't get like starstruck anymore. It's just like it's just a fun experience, you know. So it was definitely a fun thing to do, and the boat thing was interesting.
Very unique.
Yeah, the course setup. Yeah.
And so for those that didn't have the opportunity to watch the competition this year, and I don't mean to bring up a sore subject, but I feel like I'd get killed if I didn't ask about this. During the competition, it looked like you injured your shoulder mid-run. What exactly happened?
So in my run, did 360 dive roll, and then I guess I just didn't make it over enough for the roll. I kind of like because I had to like pull myself up this ladder, and then I only had like so much room to do this 360 dive roll, so I felt like I had to make it shorter because like I didn't want a 360 dive roll and then like fall off the platform. So I kind of shortened my run up so I could do the 360 dive roll and stand up out of it. So when I did that, I just kind of like did the 360, but I didn't like get the dive over enough, and my right shoulder just like crunched right into the ground. And this thing is like hard, like hard solid wood.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I felt that. And it wasn't like an excruciating pain or anything like that. It was just more of like something is not right, like something's not in place. So I thought I either like broke my collarbone or I dislocated my shoulder. I knew something was wrong, but you know, I was like, all right, I'm gonna play it off and just keep going. So after that, I was supposed to do like a tack side off a rail, over the railing onto this block, lazy down into a palm flip. So I raised my arms up to go for the palm flip, and my left arm goes up, but my right arm doesn't quite go up. And so like I reset, and then I go up and just force it, and I send the palm flip, and then like that did not feel good. So and then the line was kind of like done, like it was kind of like flattened out. Yeah. So I kind of knew that like I was done, and just like I just needed to call it. So I didn't know what was wrong. They asked me like, do you need to go to the hospital? I was like, yes, I need to go to the hospital. Something's not right. So went to the hospital in Greece, and then that was also an interesting experience because like, you know, like the movies where like you see like the hospital, and then like there's like people like dying like on the hospital beds and like on the ground like in these bandages and stuff. Like that was like the experience that I went through when I went to the hospital. And like my boss, she came with, because she flew to Greece to watch me like.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so it was really cool that she went with, and she rode with me in the ambulance to the hospital. got out of the ambulance, and then she's the one that like had to wheel me around the hospital. Like it was just really like
Crazy.
sketchy. Like it wasn't like any hospital I had ever experienced. So, but this was my first time going to these as well, so I didn't know what to expect. But I was just, after that had happened, like I was just super disappointed. Like I had been training for this competition for like months, just training so hard, flew all the way out here, and then competed in the OnSite Qualifier, made it through the OnSites. I spent basically my whole trip preparing for this competition. So like the beginning of the trip was really fun because like it was leading up to the OnSites, and then after the OnSites, like I was like, okay, we're in it now, so we got to take it seriously. So after that, like I had my 2 practices. So at the first practice, I would practice, eat, I would foam roll and stretch until the next practice, and then eat, and then foam roll and stretch until I went to bed. So like really was just trying to make sure that because I was training really hard, and I was making sure that my body wasn't getting like broken down before the competition. So foam rolling, stretching for like 2 or 3 hours, and then getting ready for the next practice. So it just was like super disappointing, like that I was in this competition, and honestly, bro, like with what I had planned, and like seeing like everybody else's runs, like bro, I know for sure I could have gotten on that podium. Like I was honestly, because I had Christian, Ed Scott, I had Davide, and then I think Miranda, and I can't remember the last person that was in my heat, but I knew that, and you know, Ed Scott and you know Christian, they've competed before, they made it through, and so like I felt like those were like my biggest competitors. And I had my money on Ed making it through. I was like, okay, Ed's for sure gonna make it through because he's Ed Scott, you know, like he always performs, and like he's Ed Scott.
Second place last year, you know? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's just like really freaking good, and like he always does really well at competitions. So I had my money on Ed, and it's not because Christian is not better or anything. It's just because Christian had been out for a while due to injury. So like I didn't know how well he was going to perform because he had just been out, you know, not training as much. Like I'd seen him training, but like he had been out for a while because I think it was his back or something. He was messed up, so he had to like take a while off and just focus on getting better. So I was like, okay, so basically I just kind of needed to beat Christian in the first heat, so it would be me and Ed in the second. But after I went on my first run, I injured my shoulder, and then I had to go to the hospital, and I didn't end up seeing everybody else's runs until after. And seeing Ed's runs, he did not do as well as I thought he was going to do. And it's not because like his run wasn't good. It just like he had a lot of slips, like a lot of like slips, and like I can't remember any falls, but like, you know, just hand taps and things like that. It just wasn't like his usual like competition runs. And so and then Christian performed really well. And like super clean run, like everything was really well connected. I think his runs were a little short though. Like there wasn't a lot put into it, but like he executed everything well. He flowed everything, connected everything really good. I just thought his runs were a little short, but so I think it would have been me and Christian going into the second heat if I wouldn't have been able to finish my run and executed everything like I would have. And then kind of like based off the beginning of my first run, like dude, like I was feeling good. Like my only concern doing my run was having the energy to finish it, because I had put a lot, like at the beginning of the run, that I wasn't even, I think I was like not even halfway done. Because after the palm flip, I was supposed to scoot dub, I was gonna step palm, 360 back handspring, 270 off the railing, I was gonna A-twist across the boats, lazy down, reverse, back 90 off, and then I think I was gonna finish with like a Webster on the finish. So I had still a lot left on that run. And like after I hurt myself and like I was like getting off the boats, like I wasn't even tired. Like usually, like sometimes I'm like pretty gassed after a run, but like I really wasn't even that tired. Like I knew that like I had an ability to finish it. So it just kind of sucked that like I was feeling so good and like I had this whole run planned out, and my second run I had planned was even crazier.
I bet for the finals.
For the finals, yes.
And so what's the diagnosis on the shoulder now? Is it something that's still going to affect you for the rest of your training career, or is it something you're all good with now?
Nah, okay, so basically I didn't get to that, but I separated my AC joint right here on the shoulder. I don't know if you can still kind of see it, but this little bump right here, it's pretty much just going to look like that for the rest of my life. It's just going to be like a cosmetic thing, but your collarbone right here is connected to your shoulder by your AC joint. Mm-hmm. And then apparently this is pretty common with parkour athletes, because after I had gotten back from the hospital and I got to see everybody, competing or that watched, and they were, I got so many questions about what happened. So I told them I separated my shoulder, my AC joint, and I had maybe like 5 or 6 people tell me that they had done that before, like doing rolls. So I guess it's pretty common. I honestly didn't know the grade. So after I left when I went to the hospital, they only told me I didn't break anything and I didn't dislocate anything. They did not tell me I separated my AC joint. My boss, Miss Danielle, her husband, and she has a couple friends that are like doctors. So she sent my x-ray to them, and there's the one that said that, oh, you separated your AC joint. And so I was like, oh, okay. I was really glad to hear that, because I was not trying to like have any surgery on my collarbone or anything like that in Greece. So after I separated it, I came back to the States, and like I had like put off like going to the doctor for such a long time, because like I don't really like it's not that I don't trust doctors. I just don't really like going to the doctors like I guess for like certain injuries, I guess. Like if I kind of like have an idea of like what's wrong, like I feel like going to the doctor is kind of like pointless, because they're just going to tell me what I already know. And I already knew that like I separated my AC joint. I just didn't know the grade of it. So kind of like I kind of just did my own research, like looking at x-rays of like grade 1, 2, 3, all these different grades for AC joint separations. And like they said, like if you have like a grade 1 or 2, like you can go back, like you don't need any surgery, or like, up to like I think 4. I think 5, 6 you definitely need surgery. But just based off my x-ray, I kind of like was like, there's no way, like it's got to be like a 1 or maybe 2 at most. And so it just said you need to wear a sling, you need to rest it, ice, and just let it heal on its own, and it'll be fine. And like you can go back to like your sports activity within like 3 to 4 weeks, and then it should be completely healed in like 6 to 8 weeks. And so I was like, okay, I think I can get this ready in time, because I actually was like supposed to be going to World Chase Tag like 3 to 4 weeks after Artimotion. So after I separated my shoulder, like not only was it super disappointing that like I was unable to finish my runs, but there was also a possibility of not being able to compete at World Chase Tag. And so that was like a double whammy, because I was just like, that sucks, because I really wanted to do World Chase. I wanted to do World Chase Tag more than Artimotion, for sure. But I went to the doctor maybe a week before I went to World Chase Tag. So it was like 3 weeks after I hurt myself. I wore the sling for about 2 weeks, and after the 2 weeks, it was starting to feel better. I was like, okay, like I think I'm good without it, because like if I took the sling off, because the sling was just super uncomfortable, and I was like, oh man, like it was hurting my neck, and I was just like, all right, I need to like take this thing off. So I would take it off, and then like I would be like sitting there like watching TV or something, and then like my shoulder would start to like ache, because like my arm was hanging and it was pulling on my AC. And so I was like, I need to put the sling back on. So I put the sling back on and just have to kind of deal with it, and just having to like go through that and just like go through that process of like making sure that I'm healing it properly, so that way I can get to World Chase Tag. I can get it healed in time to be able to compete. I have to go through this. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So wore the sling for about 2 weeks. Every day during those 2 weeks, I like got movement through there. Like I was like hanging over, and then I was just kind of like letting my arm hang, like going in circles, opposite, swinging back and forth, side to side, laying on the ground and kind of like sliding my hands out and like kind of like making sure that shoulder is getting stretched out. So I did not just do anything. Yeah, it was just that whole 2 weeks. Like I was making sure that like the muscles around there didn't get super tight. There was blood flow. I did a lot of massaging like on that area too. Iced every day. I iced at night, after I was done with the day, using it. And then in the mornings, I would apply heat, kind of wake it up, because like I would wake up in the morning and it's kind of like super achy. So I'd get like heating pack, throw a heating pack on there. And then after 2 weeks, I decided that it felt good enough to start adding strength training, resistant bands only, like no weight or anything like that. Just doing like rotator cuff, like in and out, and then just I found out another couple exercises with some resistant bands that helped. Like I could really feel like it working. So after the 2 weeks in my sling, I went to the hospital. Not the hospital. I went to the doctor to go get an X-ray and just kind of get to see where it's at before I went to World Chase Tag.
Yeah.
Got the X-ray. Went to see the doctor, and he told me that it was a grade 3 separation. Yeah, and so I was actually super surprised, because the amount of progress that like I was seeing and feeling in that time, I was like, there's no way that it's more than a grade 2, But he told me that it was a grade 3 separation, and I just was like super surprised. And he told me that like, as long as it's feeling good, like there's no pain whenever I'm doing things, I'm good to start doing like training again, and whatever I can do, like as long as there's no pain, like as far as like doing the resistance band and the mobility, like keep pushing it, because like I want to like basically make it as strong as I can, because like I weakened it by hurting it. And so like in order for me to like prevent injury was just to make it strong again, but just making sure that there's no pain whenever I'm doing these exercises. So I was like, all right, I'm good to go. So I got a week to go, and I'm going to World Chase Tag. So just really started pushing that. Started adding some like QN, like crawling, working on my jumps, making sure that I can swing that arm, and then just like pulling myself around the bars and stuff, like kind of like working some drills, getting ready for World Chase Tag, without actually like doing any chases. So was able to start pushing that, and then by World Chase Tag, like it was pretty good. Like it definitely was at 100%, but for the competition, I make sure that I KT taped it up, took some ibuprofen, hopefully help reduce like any inflammation or any pain or anything like that. So, but I was able to perform, without any issues or anything like that. So I was super grateful that I could get that injury healed in time to compete. So
yeah, 100%. And now obviously someone that had the opportunity to compete in a Red Bull Artimotion, which is like the pinnacle of our sport as far as parkour and free running comps, and then getting to compete in World Chase Tag, which is now like the pinnacle of chasing in our industry as well. What format do you prefer? Do you have one competition that you like more than the other, or you look forward to more one than the other?
Honestly, definitely looking for more World Chase Tag. Like,
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I want to compete in style anymore.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm super curious about this, bro. Okay, and why is that?
It's just that like there's not really much reward coming from these competitions like style, or like really any competition. But I think style is definitely the most, like it's the most brutal on your body, and like definitely like the hardest to push, but yeah, I don't think I want to pick style, because like Red Bull Artimotion, right? It's like you said, it's like the pinnacle of like the competitions. It's like the biggest one in the entire world. but like you win and your life doesn't change, right? Like you stay the same. Like there's no like promised sponsorships. I think first place got like 3,000 euros. So like not really much like money coming from it either. So I'd rather just be like pushing towards other things and like kind of like stray away from that to start pursuing like more speed and skill competitions, because like I feel like I'm a really good parkour athlete, but if I'm so focused on competing in style, like I can't really push that, because like, man, like I really wanted a triple crown, like win gold at NAPC, like skill, speed, and style. But I feel like because the sport is growing and like the level is just going up each year, it's just going to be really hard to do. So I think I want to like start just pushing more skill, speed, and world chase tag, because I feel like that's just going to be like the future of parkour pretty soon. As far as like exposure, like think about Red Bull Artimotion like 5 or 6 years ago. Like nothing has really like changed. It's just like, yeah, we have the competition, we have these amazing athletes, we have the competition, and then everyone goes home and they do it again next year, right? But 5-6 years ago, World Chase Tag like was in like this warehouse with like a really janky setup and like maybe like a couple people like in there playing tag and like with their cameras and stuff. And now it's on like ESPN, which is like the most like watched sports network in the country. And so it's like, well, in the next 5 to 6 years, I can't imagine where it's going to be at then, right? So and I also think that it's much easier on the body for sure, like training wise and just like actually like competition. Like, yeah, definitely like you can really mess yourself up playing tag for sure. But it's nothing that you can't really come back from. And I mean, Sebastian Foucan, I mean, he's one of the founders of, parkour and freerunning, and he competed at World Chase Tag 2 years ago on Blacklist and killed it. Like, and he's like late 40s, creeping up on 50. So like longevity wise, like I could be doing this for a long time. Like I could be doing this when I'm like late 30s, creeping up 40, but I can't be doing style for that long. Like style's like you got like till maybe like 28, 29, and then once you start creeping on 30, it's kind of pushing it. I mean, unless you're Joey Adrian, like Joey's like forever going to be young and he will always be killing it, but I think there's a place in time where you just kind of have to like stray away from these type of things so that way you can grow in another part of your career. And it's like I want to start doing that, but I'm gonna go back next year for Artimotion.
Okay, I was gonna ask you if you're gonna redeem yourself once.
I'm gonna redeem myself for sure.
Okay.
I was gonna make this past one like my last competition, my last style competition, but I don't want it to really end on that note, just because like I was this close, and I wanted that, that podium, I really wanted to get on that podium. Like I was so close to it, and just this freak accident, just it occurred. I mean, obviously, like I could have done something to prevent that, just having my tech a little better, but I just feel like it's not my time yet. Like everybody has it's their time, so like I feel like it's just not my time quite yet. I've just been watching a lot of UFC, and that kind of inspires me a lot to like keep pushing and like don't give up on like my goals and things like that. And it's just like as long as I'm being consistent and I keep pushing it, like eventually like along down the road, like I'll get there, it'll be my time, and it's just this year just wasn't my time. So I still have some time left, as far as like my training, like my youth goes, and like I still want to like push that, but as soon as I get there, like I'll probably be done with it and work on the other things like skill and speed comps. I honestly kind of want to start like pushing Ninja Warrior and try to get on that, because I feel like that's something that I could train for if I just push myself like I do in style competitions, it's a whole nother arena, it's not like people say like, oh, you're really good at parkour, like you should do Ninja Warrior. It's like, no, like it's not the same thing. Like it does like involve some parkour aspects, but Ninja Warrior is its own thing now. Like it's not, I wouldn't compare it with parkour because just really just the upper body conditioning and like the endurance that you need for that, like it's ridiculous. Like it's way more than any parkour athlete that I know. But I want to start pushing that, and then hopefully along down the road, I want to get down to LA and start getting some stunt work in.
Hey, let us know, dog. Let us know. Hell yeah, man. No, that's super cool. And now with that being said, obviously I completely agree with you that World Chase Tag is probably the future as far as relatability is concerned, and also getting to a bigger platform. I think it's the reason why Ninja Warrior grew so popular too, is that the average American that's sitting at home watches Ninja Warrior and thinks like, oh, I could maybe try that. And they could also watch World Chase Tag and relate to like, oh, I could chase someone around. When they see people doing full and back outs and triple fulls, they're like, I could never do that. So you basically exclude a huge portion of the population that thinks they never have a chance of competing in an art of motion.
Yeah.
So, no, that's super cool. And so will you enter the online qualifier again for art of motion? And if you don't make it, does that mean you will try the on-site again one more time?
Yeah, so I'm going to try to make an online qualifier because I got plenty of time, and like in that next however months to a year, like before the next art of motion, like if I just had like 2 months from now, like if I just have like a really like coming up with like a banger line, like I'll just film it and then I'll just have it saved for that, for the qualifiers. But you make it through the on-site art of motion, and then they reimburse you for your trip.
Yes.
So like they pay for your plane ticket, they reimburse you for your hotel and things like that. So with my reimbursement, Miss Danielle, my boss, she was putting that money aside for next year.
Awesome.
So that reimbursement money that I got, she's going to put that aside, so that way she can use that next year for me to go to the on-sites if I have to. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm definitely going to try to make it through the online qualifier so I don't have to do the on-sites, because that sucked a lot. I'm not going to lie. Having to wait all day, do the jam sesh. We got our practice, and then we had to wait like 2 hours for our actual jam sesh. Mm-hmm. Then wait like an hour or two for everyone to go through, and then do our line. And like the sun was not in our favor. Like I thought it was hot in Texas.
It's hot.
It's hot. The sun is different over. It's like the sun is much closer. Like your skin just like it burns. Like it's hot over here, but like it doesn't compare to like the hot over there.
Yeah, and what people don't realize is when we used to be in Santorini in the white rooftops, the sun reflects off of the white. So not only is it hot, but it's constantly bouncing off into your eyes, and like your skin's constantly feels like it's on fire. It's like so hard to explain.
Dude, yeah, I had some people telling me about that, like with like it just being with the white and like the sun, like it's just very blinding, and like it's just really hard for you to like get through your line and like just be it. But they said like once you're there for a little bit, your eyes kind of adjust to it, but like it's still nothing though. Like, and I feel like people with like lighter, like the blue, like light blue eyes, like it's awful for them. Like I feel like it's like they're very sensitive to like light, because everybody I know with like very light blue eyes and it's bright outside, they're like squinting and like it's just hard for them to see. So I couldn't imagine being over there, but the spots look sick though. Yeah. I've not been sent to Santorini, but I mean it would be sick to go there and visit sometime. So
yeah, it's definitely beautiful, man. And so one of the questions I also feel like I need to ask you that the community would kill me if I didn't is I've seen videos of you, even on your YouTube, where you actually talk about training in Feiyus, and I feel like this is a very common question that gets brought up. So what shoe do you train in? Do you actually train in Feiyus, or what is your day-to-day trainer that you recommend and wear?
So Feiyus sent me out some of their shoes, and like I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like I'll wear your shoes. But like I feel like the quality is a little different than like the original ones, because like my friend has like a pair of like the original Feiyus, and like they really like mold your foot, and like it's kind of like wearing like a sock. And so like when they sent me out these new Feiyus, and like I think it's like got taken over by like a new company or something like that. But like just the quality was just a little different to them. They just were a little bit more like bulkier, and they didn't really like mold to your foot. And so like I wore them for a little bit, but they weren't really like for me. But I really like training in the nylon classics. Those are like my favorite shoes. The Reeboks. Those are definitely my favorite training shoes. Like I think in the last like since I started wearing them, I've gone through like 7 or 8 pairs. They're just really nice. Like they're affordable. Like every time that I get them, I always get them on sale. Mm-hmm. So they're only like $40 a piece, and so I'll get like 2 of them at a time. I think that they're really good. The grip is really good. I think the impact resistance is really good. The only thing is like with the sole, the more you train, the more like it kind of deflates. So at the beginning, like once you first start wearing them, they're kind of like thick, like they're really thick. But once you start to wear them and you break them down, they kind of mold to your foot, and then they start to feel much, much better. But if you wear them for like you train in them for like 4 or 5 months, they literally deflate into like Feiyus where like there's nothing there. And so like they feel really good. But the thing is like for me, I need padding. Like the balls of my feet for some reason are like super sensitive. So like if I hit like a really mean like swing cast like layout on the concrete and my feet slap the ground, oh, my feet get bruised real bad. And if there's no like padding or anything, I'm like, I need to buy some new shoes. So it's not really like because the shoe is like broken or like it's unwearable. It's just that there's not enough padding for me. Yeah. And so I feel like I do a lot of like impact training, a lot of like big jumps and like with the flips and everything. Like it's just a lot. So I think I go through a pair maybe like 3 or 4 months. Okay. And then I'm like, I need another pair. But I'll still wear the old shoes. I'll just wear them for like work and like light training because like once I'm telling you, once they get deflated, like, and you're on a bar, I can curl my toes through the shoe around the bar. So they're really good for like bar prees and stuff. They're just not good for like big jumps or like, just impact once they get flat. Some people like that, but I need shoes with some padding on there because that shit hurts. But definitely the Reeboks.
Hell yeah. Okay. And so for someone that's kind of like at your age, you're probably like of the up and coming generation right now, just most recently competed out of Artimotion. I'm just curious, where do you think parkour is going in the future? Do you foresee it being in the Olympics? Do you not foresee it being in the Olympics? And what do you think the community is going? Like what direction is it headed in right now?
I think I could see parkour in the Olympics. But the thing is like with like everyone fighting against like FIG and everything like that, like it obviously I would like it to be run by like the parkour community and like things like that. Like I don't want it to be run by the gymnastics community, but I would also like to see it in the Olympics. But I feel like we need to like make a compromise, and like there's no room for it to grow if we never like give it a chance, So like let's say like this first one in the Olympics is just like really bad, and then they're going to see how bad it is, and then they're going to realize, okay, obviously we want it to be better in the next Olympics. So then we have like this really big time frame to figure out what we need to do to make it better, get some parkour athletes and professionals that know more about competition setting and like how to make it more exciting and like make the format a little bit better and just like more enjoyable to watch, because like I feel like if it's boring and like they're limiting what we can do, then it kind of like takes away the whole point of like parkour. It's like freedom to do like what you want and what you want to show to these people, and it's like there shouldn't be any limitations to it, but there should also be a scoring where it makes sense to not only to like us, but like to the moguls, like the people that don't watch parkour, and like they can understand like what's going on, because like I feel like that's most of what's the issues today. It's like there's always a competition and there's always like some event where the scoring doesn't make sense, or like people have an issue with like the podium or things like that. But that's just how people are going to be. But we don't have like a very strict scoring quite yet. It's not like, oh, if you do double flyaway, you're going to get 6 points for it, or like this many points. It's just like based off of like these certain categories. So unless we get like a little bit more official, like with the moves that are being thrown and then being scored off that, it's just going to be really hard to like put it together. But also the other hard thing is like people like Josh Malone, where he's like throwing things that like nobody knows what it is, and like they don't know how to score it. So that's also going to play a big part in like how they score things, and like creativity, and like just the whole competition and stuff. But I feel like with the community, each year it continues to grow, and now that we're having like more parkour facilities like being built in the communities, it's just these kids are going to grow up in these gyms, and that's pretty much all they're going to know. Like we have like a lot of kids at our gym, and I can't imagine where they're going to be at in the next like 10-15 years. It's just going to be such a cool thing to see, like one of my students being at Art of Motion, like competing and like getting on that podium. Is like, that was my student all this time ago. So I think it's just going to grow, and it's just going to get bigger, and it's just going to get more popular. And then hopefully with like competitions like Art of Motion and like World Chase Tag, it just gets more exposure to the world, and it just becomes like a bigger thing. And people, like, I feel like so many people don't know what parkour is, and like it's such a struggle having to explain it to somebody that doesn't know what it is. And it's just like, exactly, if I show you a video, you'll know what it is, and I show them, they're like, oh, okay, I know what that is, but I didn't know that was parkour. So I think we need to get to that point where like somebody knows, like whenever they say, like they hear the word parkour, like, oh, I know what you're talking about, and hopefully like being on ESPN, like being, more exposure, it'll get to that point. But I'm excited for that though.
Yeah, I agree with you too. And I think, I've talked about this with a few guests on the JAMCast before. I don't necessarily think that style competition is the way to make it into the Olympics, because like you said, it's so subjective. You have guys like Josh throwing tricks that are too hard to quantify and score. But I think kind of along the lines of how you even said personally, you want to step away from those types of competitions and focus on speed. I personally think that if we do have a chance to get to the Olympics, that's the way that we should go, is the speed competitions, because it's just like track and field. It's going to be fastest time wins. There's no argument at all. It's whoever got through the course the fastest is the fastest parkour athlete. That's the winner, But skateboarding did just make its first, introduction to the Olympics. Breakdancing is going to happen in the next one, and both of those are all style based. So maybe we'll be able to watch and gain some knowledge from how they approach it.
Exactly. And also, like, maybe World Chase Tag will be in the Olympics. Who knows? Because like that's super entertaining to watch. It's super easy to understand, and it's not as like subjective. It's like, oh, like you either got them or you didn't get them. So it's just like.
And we could have countries be teams, baby. Super easy.
Yes, dude. Yes, that would be cool. Like, so you got your USA team, and then you got like Japan and Germany, all these other teams. They got their chase tag teams, and then they all compete against each other. That would be super sick. I'm excited for that.
Hell yeah, man. And so, before we get out of here, this is the question that I always leave with, and I'm curious to get your answer just based on all that we've talked about. Where do you personally see yourself 5 years from now? And then where do you see yourself 10 years from now? And that could be life, professional, sports, anything related.
Ooh, 5 years from now? I don't know, to be honest. I'm hoping that 5 years from now, like, still working at the gym, just really just pushing parkour and just like growing my social media, travel. I kind of want to just use this time that I have now, like in my youth, to just kind of explore and then just kind of push myself. 10 years from now, I mean, I don't know, maybe in LA, like working on stunt gigs and stuff like that, and trying to do Ninja Warrior. But I don't know, man, like I kind of just let life go on and try not to really like have it all set out. laid out in front of me. It's like, okay, like this, and this. By this time, we're going to be here and this. But kind of just like seeing how it goes and just pushing parkour, and hopefully in the future it'll be enough to where I can make a living off of, you know. That's kind of where I'm trying to get to, just being able to make a living. It's like I spent all this time like training for like the last 9 years. I need to like do something with it, and I kind of just want to make it my life. So anything I can do, just making a living off that. Like even teaching, like I don't even mind. Like I love to coach. Like yeah, even in like 10 years from now, like if being an athlete doesn't work out and I can't make a living off parkour, then I want to start like pushing like my coaching, and then eventually having my own gym, you know, like in the future. But that won't be until like maybe like 20 years from now, you know. Like I want to like make sure that I have like the right experience, and like I know exactly what I'm getting into, and like if I start something, I want it to be like big, and I want it to be like just a really good idea, you know. So but with the coaching and like with the aspect of like being an athlete, I feel like those are going to play a really big part in being a gym owner, and like how I can like make it grow. Because if like, you know, like Mike Tyson, like he's one of the greatest boxers to ever live, and like he had like a boxing gym. I'm sure he does, but I mean, because of his reputation, like I'm sure his gym does much better because like he's Mike Tyson. He can like raise up his like prices and things like that. So if like an athlete were to, you know, make a really good name for himself in like the upcoming years, if he decides to open up a gym, he'll have more exposure on the gym because of like who he is and who he was like as an athlete in his career. So that's kind of what I do, and like have all these experiences from other things like Ninja Warrior, skill, speed, and style competitions to kind of like better this gym, you know. So
hell yeah, man. Well, yo, on behalf of myself and the community, man, we're greatly looking forward to everything you continue to do, whether that's pumping out footage on Instagram, entering these online comps, or eventually getting yourself back up to getting on the podium at NAPC and Artimotion. So with that being said, man, can you just let people know where they can continue to follow you and your own personal journey and stay up to date with everything you have going on?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The Instagram is going to be at Jarrod Luty 2897.
Hell yes. Hell yeah, man. And yo, with that being said, guys, please be sure to hit that like button and comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Jarrod Luty himself. So with that being said, guys, I got to give one more very special shout out. Thanks for coming through, man. I really appreciate your time.
Dude, heck yeah, bro. It was a really fun conversation that we had.
Hell yeah. And yo, when you want to do some stunt work, hit us up. We'll help you out in LA.
Dude, hell yeah. Appreciate that.
Of course. Yo, and as always, guys, coming through. I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.